Hey, beautiful. Today I am going to be sharing with you a little bit about what to do when you are triggered in the context of authentic relating in interpersonal relationships, aka relationships you have with other human beings, not animals, because they are like so easy. Oh, at least for me. The human animal is the toughest of all. Give me a dog, give me a horse, give me a lizard, whatever, we can chill. Give me a human animal, and I'm like, sometimes just it's hard, right? It's hard, and it can be hard with family, friends, spouses, partners, girlfriends, boyfriends, all the things, brothers, sisters, half bros, half sis, step, all the things, aunts, uncles, cousins, children. Yeah. So relationships are tough, but they're also awesome, as we all know. Heart connection, a very, very important part of a healthy lifestyle, and healthy and necessary part of the spiritual journey. We're not here alone. Like, we are alone in a certain sense, like we own our stuff. We've got to deal with our stuff. No one is going to know you as fully as you know you. So go ahead and know you, because ain't nobody else getting in there. So hopefully, right, you're the only being occupying the space of your body. But yeah, so what to do when you're triggered? That was a bit of a strange intro, but yeah, it's a hard thing to talk about. It's raw, it's somewhat intangible. It's very, it can be embarrassing, it can be vulnerable, very tender, very confusing, disorienting, very frustrating. But y'all, number one, as always, awareness, right? So knowing that you are triggered, being able to recognize, hey, I am stuck in a pattern way of responding right now. I am stuck in a very pattern way of thinking right now, of behaving, of interacting. I am stuck in a certain dynamic. What might be causing this, right? And a lot of time it's like person, place, or thing. And maybe you've worked out a lot with the other person, so it's like not the person in and of themselves that is triggering you, but it can be then going with that person into a certain space, and that space triggers you. So say it's a doctor's office. It's like you've been hanging with your kid and like working through stuff, whatever. Y'all are fine at home, you're fine in the car, but you go to the doctor's office and you're triggered suddenly. It's not like your child has sprouted horns and is suddenly possessed. Hopefully not. But you've changed the location and you can see, hey, I'm acting in like the stressed out parent at the doctor's office, like super controlling, super anxious, panicky mode me that I know isn't me, because me and my kid get along really, really well elsewhere, and I feel a lot more relaxed elsewhere, and just knowing that it's not you. So awareness, being able to identify, hey, I am triggered, and it can be helpful, though maybe not necessarily necessary to identify what the trigger is specifically. So knowing the person, place, or thing, I think it can be helpful, but also, you don't need to get like too intellectual about it. I just come from a psych background and I'm like a super thinker person, so it helps me, and it just like my awareness, that's how it works, is like I will analytical mind will start rolling, and like the psychotherapist trained mind will start rolling. And like I've done a lot of this work on myself, so I know what my triggers are. And yeah, so knowing you're triggered, maybe knowing why you're triggered, and then so it's like, okay, I know I'm triggered. I know I'm not acting like myself. I know I'd rather act a different way. And I think that's the piece. I know I'd rather act a different way. I know I'd rather be in a different frame of mind. So it's like this desire to be expressing in a different way, but also accepting that you are where you are and you're thinking and you're responding how you are, and awareness and acceptance of the fact that you're aware and that you're triggered. Like accepting, okay, I am triggered. Part 2 of step 2. Okay, I'm going to empower myself to think and behave and speak in a different way. Like, let's create a new pattern right now. Might feel weird, might feel unfamiliar, probably gonna be uncomfortable, but, and like, shoot, I don't know, like, what do I do? You just gotta do something different, right? I mean, behave ethically, speak ethically, but just do something different. And for me, this most recent time being triggered, I had the really bright awareness. Okay, I am triggered. Okay, I know why I'm triggered. It's a location dependent trigger. I'm not doing anything wrong. The other person isn't doing anything wrong. And even knowing like why I'm triggered by the trigger too. It's like based on all these past experiences I've had where I've had so many past experience at a location like this that I have some PTSD that I'm working with, and that's okay. And you might want to see a therapist about this, right? If you're feeling really drawn to do some deep work, or a shaman or a coach or some kind of healer and really go deep, this is just a surface level video, asterisk, right? Like, this is a complex topic and it can be very deep. So just putting it out there. But I was able to work with it in the moment, and yeah, so I did all this stuff kind of in my head, identified the trigger, okay, why, and then, okay, like I know I want to do something different, but I'm not sure what the different is, and, you know, I'm just kind of like so scared and stressed right now, I don't even know how to like do it different. So what I did is I vulnerably, authentically, you know, as compassionately as possible, expressed this to the person I was with. Like, I'm really triggered right now. I'm not trying to, you know, be disrespectful or be unkind or be unfriendly or be overly like distant or detached or anything like that. Like, I'm just feeling really triggered. And I started sharing a bit vulnerably about, you know, why I thought that was, and not pointing fingers, not blaming, not, you know, saying, well, it's because of these past situations and like you were there, and, you know, none of that. Just like sharing my experience and my mental process that I just described with the other person. And y'all, that shifted something. It created space. Suddenly, I went from panic and stress and constriction into this space of empowerment where, like, I could take the space or the distance if I felt I needed to. I could also, you know, be like, hey, you want to go for a walk? Or like, no, I need to go to bed early tonight, or I need to retreat to my room and do this form of self-care. Do you want to hang out tomorrow? Or, you know, whatever. It was like I was able to identify and express my needs better, which is what I needed to do. And then I started getting clarity back again. Instead of being in this space of triggered, stressed out, confused, not really sure like what's going on or why I'm thinking this way or acting this way. It was like, no, clarity sank back in. I'm like, clarity's my baseline. Clarity, I think, is all of our baselines. Like when this third eye is open and zinging and communicating with everything else, like we are clear beings. We know what we want, we know what we need, and throat open, we're able to express it too. So clarity came back, and then throat chakra came back on as well. I was able to express my needs and wants and invite the other person along, and also let go of any kind of attachment to outcome. Just I'm gonna put my truth out there, and like I'm cool with it. So yeah, I'm gonna be compassionate and kind as well, and nonviolent with my words, but also give the other person the freedom to have their reaction to what I'm expressing as well. And y'all, it went really good. It totally I'm looking for a word right now. Diffused. Like your essential oil. Diffuser. The lavender just like filled the room. It was like, yeah. This is how adult, self-realized Taylor can show up right now. Yeah, I don't have to just be acting from, early 20s, late teens me that would get triggered by these actual traumatic things going on and act from that space. I can be grounded, powerful woman me and own my truth, express my truth, get my needs met, and shift the dynamic with this other person so that we can have a good time together. We could share some space together, and I can actually be present and not be acting based on the past events that were, stinking into my present moment and stealing my present moment, frankly. It's like some real healing can happen, y'all, when we work with our triggers. And it, in some cases it is like the correct response is, I need to get out of here, or I need to go, or I need to call a friend, or whatever. But in some cases, the best thing we can do is really just sit with it, breathe with it, express it, put it out there with kindness, and see what happens. Let the energy shift. So it's really going to depend on your situation. Like I said, ask for help if you need help. I've got, I'll be the first to say I've spent years in therapy. I've also done a lot of 12-step work. I've done other types of healing work. I've done a lot of self-directed healing work. I've done a lot in like the meditation and Buddhist communities. My yoga practice is a form of this kind of healing work, and together, all of those have informed how I work with triggers as they manifest, and sometimes more gracefully, other times less gracefully. But this is a process that hopefully you can at least use, work with, think about, even theoretically. So I'll just go over it again. So identify that you are triggered. Identify what the trigger is, person, place, thing, location, etc. 3, think about, hey, kind of like the history of why did this trigger come to be? And that's something you might need to look at in therapy, like I said, more in depth. For me, I'd addressed a lot of that in therapy before, it's not like parts of my past that I hadn't dealt with entirely, but it's, it was potent enough to come back up again. Around and around we go, y'all. These things spiral again to let us allow for us to fully, deeply heal things. So kind of going over the history of the trigger itself. Then 4, so you want to think, speak, and behave differently, not really sure how. You can just share with the other person your process, like what's going on for you, what's real for you, with kindness, with respect, with compassion, being like using I language, not blaming, not being violent with your actions or your speech, or hurtful or anything like that, because it's your process. So sharing that. And then 5, like being in the open space. So as space and clarity open up, then working with that. That's the fun part. That's the freshness. Identifying your needs, wants, desires, and expressing them without any kind of attachment to outcome. So playing in that open space, playing with this new energy, kind of the fruit of working with the trigger and coming out on the other side. And yeah, I would say for step 6, really like being grateful. Like you were able to work with this trigger. You were able to, even in the most minute way, like rewire the pathway in your brain, if you want to think of it that way, that has taken you down that same path connected to in the past whenever the trauma first surfaced itself. So you, even in a small way, and it really probably wasn't a small way, it was like a bigger way, because everything matters, y'all. You did something different. You chose something different, and you chose self-care and healing, and that is awesome. So really thank yourself, thank the other person for being a part of your process, and yeah, like thank you for doing that healing work, because it's not easy, but it's necessary. And I think so much benefit could come if we each just did our own dang healing work. Not me sitting here telling some other person what's wrong with them. No, like let's do our own healing work. Yes, ask for help when you need it, but do your own stuff. If we all just did our own healing work and actually, like, as much as we can, I think this world will be a much friendlier place, and I would like this world to be a friendlier place. So from my heart to yours, reach out, throw down a comment, email me, taylor@joyfulrawlife.com, taylor@joyfulrawlife.com. I'm here for y'all. I offer coaching. I hold space with the best of them. Y'all, I hold big space. So if you need someone to talk to and you resonated with my frequency and what I'm sharing, then please feel free to reach out. As always, like this video if you like it, subscribe for more, and don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you so much for watching. Much love to you. Take care and namaste. Truly, the light within me sees, acknowledges, and loves the light within you. So, yeah,